Good morning, I'm Chip.
Hey, good morning, I'm Steve.
And I'm Danny.
I'm Harmon.
It's Bob.
And this
This
is
Chip's Garage.
Today, Steve, we're going to do my GTX, my 1969 GTX. Some of the viewers will remember, I married my high school sweetheart. She was 15, I was 16 when we met, and I had a car very, very similar to this. So once got into life, got the kids in and out, right? I was able to get another one and picked it up. Now, I picked this up from the original owner with 82,000 original
low
miles.
mileage for a car, kind of.
Yeah, now he was a drag racer, so he had done a bunch of stuff to it. And it's a 440, 4-speed with a Dana rear end.
What better can you ask?
Oh, I know.
I mean,
back in the day, this was really the fastest production street car for 1969 that Plymouth made. Now, the Hemi was better on the track, but really on the street, the 440 would run.
They're more reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was just better at lights, better, those kind of things. So we did a 4.5-year restoration on it, and that was a little long. And you know this, I was very disappointed in the work that the paint and body guy did, and it's hard to find a good paint and body guy anymore. So I was a little disappointed in it, so I let the car sit for about 1.5 years, 2 years, disgruntled, and then I got remotivated and went through it. So what do you want to say about it, Steve?
Since when I first met you, I saw this car, and I was telling them back, I was a teenager in the mid-'70s, and the guys from Vietnam were coming back home, and they had these cars, and they were thrashing them. I mean, thrashing them, go by, and I was just sitting there like a little kid, like, go ahead, go. And I don't think a lot of people had automatics back then, a lot of 4-speeds.
Yep.
And you'd see these cars, then a few years later, sitting near a barn, blown motor, then a few years after that, rusted out,
Absolutely. A lot of blown motors.
Yeah, now, I mean, I remember riding one of these, and my cousin Eddie and I were riding around in his car and almost hit a factory. We come around the bend, this big factory, and he had barely any brakes, and we were swerving around there. I still remember, I still remind him of that.
Oh, yeah. And they're getting hard to find. Now, the GTX, and I've told you this before, Steve, the GTX was a special order car. So you could not buy it just off the showroom floor of the lot. You had to order it. Yeah, so they didn't just sit around.
Didn't really know that.
Yeah. So the GTX, it went Belvedere, basically, which was a base model, and you get all kinds of motors in it. And then you would go to basically the Roadrunner and then the GTX. So there was a satellite in there too. So, but this would have been the gentleman's muscle car, the top of the line for Plymouth in 1969.
Well, Pam, the one that was here one time, she has a Roadrunner body, which would be a satellite, is that correct? With a 6-cylinder.
Probably.
With an automatic.
It could be a Belvedere or satellite.
Ordered like that.
Yeah.
My grandfather ordered it. She still has it. Yeah, 6-cylinder.
Amazing.
Slant 6, can't kill.
So let's point out a few things. Obviously, really cool double headlights.
Beautiful.
Again, those came out in 58. See the blinkers and running lights cut it within the bumper. I love the bumper, the design of the bumper. It goes in, then points out, and then in, and then back out. Sort of wrap around. Really cool grill in here.
Now, you and I, we talk a lot over the last 3 years, and I'm a detail freak, and I had a big shop at one time. Look how nicely this detail is detailed out. All the screws are right. All the bolts are in here. Everything, the bumper is even. I've seen so many cars come out, a few cars come out of body shops that are just not right, and headlights aren't right, the bezels aren't right. This is, you really did it beautiful when you put it back together.
Well, thank you. And that's the thing. I said I was disappointed. We had to retake everything off and redo it and put it back on.
And these weren't show cars.
No, no.
You had to make them.
Yeah, this car is actually better fit and in better shape than it would have came off the showroom floor. But I literally, and you know this, I know every nut and bolt on this car. Literally every nut and bolt. So let's point out some things on the hood. And look at, how cool. Now, these would have been open depending on what you had, what engine you had. And then they had an air intake system, which I was thinking about putting on this car, which, and viewers, correct me if I'm wrong, I know with the 6-pack, it would have had the air system on it. If you didn't have the air system on it, this would have been closed off. We opened it up just for extra air. But I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, you could also have the air induction system on a 4-barrel setup as well, I think. So somebody let us know that knows more than I do about that. But notice how this comes up. I mean, again, just the design, right, of everything.
Well, what year did they get the hole in the hood, the grabber? You know, where the flapper, what was it,
Yeah,
71
I
maybe?
think it was 70.
70.
And again, correct this, but I'm almost positive the shaker is what you're talking about in the grabber. They have the grabber and shaker. And maybe they did come out with the grabber earlier.
Yeah.
Again, viewers, let us know.
Yeah, we're not professionals, but we want to inform people.
Right.
That's
so
why
let
we're
us
trying
know.
to inform people. And then when somebody says, oh, yeah, this is it, and they give us a bunch of information, that goes to our viewers and go, oh, that's great. You know?
Yeah.
So if they're looking for a car to buy, and they find this 69 hood on a 73, just say, well, that's not quite right. I saw it on Chip's garage. It should be like that.
There you go.
You know, that's what we're trying to help.
Right. And we count on you viewers to help us. We're not professionals. We're learning even a lot ourselves. These are actually lit.
Yeah,
which is nice, and it's got the original Magnum 500. I call them Magnum 500.
Yeah, Magnum 500.
And that would have been, I mean, that was quite a custom wheel back in the day. You know,
and actually that design was on all three of the big three.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right.
The Chevelle was real close to that. You just changed the center cap.
Well, and Ford too, right?
Too.
Ford had it too. Again, with the GTX would have been this chrome around all the way down, and then the black on the bottom. That would have came like that. Would have matte black.
Flat.
Well, they call it matte.
Matte.
Yeah, and same on the hood with the matte black.
Nice.
And of course, you see all the stainless going around and different things, and these are all original.
You don't see these plastic on here, huh?
No.
These are originals. They're really nice.
Even the arms themselves.
Hard to find.
Absolutely. Yeah, and of course it's got the VIN number here, and the RS is for a GTX.
Okay, RS, okay.
Yeah, would represent as a GTX.
It's not like a Camaro Rally Sport? No, it doesn't go like that.
No.
Oops, sorry, Mopar guys.
Yeah, of course it has the GTX down here in big letters, which I always love. And one thing really nice, Steve, and you know this, the vinyl roof, man. Talk about that for a second.
Oh, that's incredible. And it's the same original design, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they had some different designs, Mopar, didn't they?
They
had
did.
Like what's a paisley top or something?
Yeah, they had a paisley. They had an alligator, I think. And again, viewers, help us out here.
Now, Mopar always separated himself from everybody else. I mean, they were always top notch. To my book, I loved it. I worked, actually, viewers, at 16 years old, I worked in a Dodge garage.
You told us
and
that.
I would watch them come test and tune it. At 5:01, they'd all show up at Cusimano Brothers Dodge in Jamestown, New York. And I was 16. Used to watch.
Oh,
it
yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Is that the one they used to kick you out of all the time?
Yeah. No, that's when I worked at. They wanted me there, but no, that's the other one.
This, by the way, is a hard top. As you can see, there's no pillar here.
Very nice.
So we have there's no B pillar in the middle on it.
Simple.
Yeah. So simple again, but luxurious, and you can go ahead and look all the way in there. Look at the different designs, and you can see the nice big, more plush bucket seats in it.
Why don't you go and sit in there?
Yeah.
I want to see a guy. You're 6 foot tall.
Oh, tons of room.
And look at how much room there
and
is.
Here's the thing. If you look here, this is called a buddy seat. And so this was very rare option in this car. Most of them had a console.
Right.
You can see it's a 4-speed. So this lifts up, and you can fit 3 people to sit, or you can use it as an armrate. It is very rare.
You'd probably see that on a family sedan more than anything if it was.
Absolutely,
but not a race car.
That's right. Car. So that makes this car a little special. I did put an aftermarket, old school rosewood steering wheel in it, which I always enjoyed. I got a small tack in it. Notice the speedometer goes to 150.
Wow.
Which would have been the GTX and the 440. Now, the GTX only came with a 440 or a Hemi. That was it.
Yeah,
that's all you could get in the GTX.
Now, viewers, optional would be a tack over here. But I can't imagine trying to race this car and look at that tack.
Oh, yeah. No. Or a clock.
Or a clock.
Could have been, would have been either a tack or a clock. Now, we had the radio rebuilt with Bluetooth and all the new stuff.
Dual dials.
But it's an original radio, and they changed all the guts and everything.
The dual dials.
And it comes out. Here's your heat. So there was no AC. It's 4-speed, 440 Dana car. So it was made to rock and roll. Here's your brake release, and this is your emergency brake. And then you just pull this to release it. You guys wouldn't know that.
Yeah,
here's your high beam switch down here.
It's not up here.
That little silver button. Of course, your clutch and your brake. Now this has got the big drum brake setup because of the 440 4-speed Dana. Which would be the 11-inch drums all the way around.
It will stop the car.
Yeah, and it does. It works amazingly well, actually.
Just don't hit it too many times. You have brake fade.
Yeah.
Now, before you get out, you correct me on this years ago about, I said, where's your pistol grip?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody loves pistol grips.
Right.
I don't care. And you tell the audience.
Yeah.
Does this car come with a pistol grip?
The pistol grip shifter, which it looks like a pistol handle, came out in 1970. Was the original year. So
beautiful shifter.
A lot of people do it. So this is the original shifter. So it came with an actual Hirsch shifter.
Yeah, Hirsch shifter.
They had a deal with Hirsch. Here's your ashtray and your cigarette lighter. You push it in, and then it heats up and it pops out, and you put down your cigarette, and that's how you started it. Notice also there's ashtrays here in the door handle, so you can tell back then. Again, very cool because they did the wood grain here, up here on the dash. You got, now this was the Chrysler emblem with the red, white, and blue, which is pretty cool. You got the vent windows, which we've talked about
last
before.
year, isn't it? Last year for it?
I don't remember that. Yeah. So you got your vent window, of course.
And then headrest.
Yep, headrest.
Safety, so
and I want to show you this. This is pretty cool. Of course, these are cool with the chrome here. But look at the emblem in the back there, and look at the seat. And then if you'll look, there's an ashtray on either side again in the back.
Now the center emblem was shared with most cars, wasn't it? I think it was. That's not just for GTX.
Oh yeah, right. No, that's that's a Chrysler Plymouth type thing.
Yeah.
So, and again, you guys can correct us on it, you viewers, to let us know
now
what's going on there.
I'm going to say, Chip, says, man, I need to do something with paint. So I says, let me help him out. We took this car and we wet sanded. We sanded down 1,500, 2,000 grit, and what we did is we taped everything off here. We took this off, which it needed to come off, and we buffed all the way around to detail it. This is correct. If you want a really nice car, and when you go look at cars to buy, look at the detail. Like this one here, it was perfect. It just needed a little bit more over the edge. And if you look at it, you could see your Nikes.
You can, from the side, you can see your shoes.
You know, and that's what you want, you know. And down here, it's just out here, it's just outstanding. And when you do have them buffed out, the color comes out so much better.
Yep. So let's point out a few things. One thing, and you've always mentioned this, is the design of the back window.
I love that.
Look at it from the side here, viewers, and you can see what we're talking about. But just a beautiful design.
Beautiful.
And that makes that rear window pretty hard to get and pretty expensive, actually.
Right. And it's not square or anything. It just fits the body lines.
Right, it does. Yeah.
Hey.
It's
How
aerodynamic.
How many bodies? How many bodies?
You can fit quite a few. Yeah. Again, this would have all been just for the GTX. A Roadrunner would have had just a flat nothing back here. And the Plymouth emblem. Your fuel is behind here again, and that's spring loaded.
Nicely detailed out too.
And I always enjoyed this. These are the reverse lights, are actually in the bumper itself, and those are actually glass, real thick glass lenses. And these are iconic Mopar.
You got to have them on there because the sound is just incredible.
Yeah, and we'll of course start it up and take it for a ride.
You know how you could tell this is you didn't replace these. These are original, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
These are pitted.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are pitted because they said a lot of people put car covers over it, and from the acid and all that exhaust comes up in pitsies. But these are phenomenal. They're worth a lot of money.
They absolutely are.
Because they're flawless.
Yep. And we did replace a few pieces that were bad, but I did keep all the original chrome pieces and all the pieces off of this. Let's point this out, and it looks funny the way that sticker's up there. That's a reproduction of the original sticker, but that's exactly how it went on there. They just smacked it in there, and there you go.
It could have been sideways or whatever.
Well, no, they had it like that, but it, it overlapped and it wasn't perfectly centered.
It might have been a Friday before the strike. Let's just put it on there.
Let's point out in here, this was the original replica again of the original trunk mat, and this is an actual 70s polyglass GT spare tire bias ply. Yep. And here's your jack handle and your jack behind it. And again, this would have had a bumper jack.
Now, audience, this car was solid. I looked it over. Oh, yeah. When you go look at a car, you got to lift this up.
Right.
These GTXs, all of them.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to take somebody with you and look at it.
Well, and watch this, Steve. Watch this. That's how it's supposed to work. Right. Yep. Yep. Typical rust areas would have been the trunk, around the back window back here, over here, and then on the lower quarter panels.
This was an Alabama car?
This came out of Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no salt up there.
Yeah. This is the pentagram for Chrysler, and it only comes on the right side. And I forget the story of why. There's not one on the left side of the car.
Maybe they ran out. I don't know.
Of course, your antenna for your radio. And we'll show under the hood here real quick.
Was Lee Iacocca involved then? Maybe he figured he could save 20 cents.
So, and I always point this out. So this is a 440 Super Commando.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, where the Dodge would have been a 440 Magnum.
Magnum.
Yeah, and same, basically the same motor,
same thing,
just different name based on it. Original radiator in it. You can see the Chrysler pentagram here. Again, manual brakes, but it does have power steering, and this is how it would have came.
Now, if you look, we always say, what, build it to your taste.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's a few things on here that, like the MSD, which you must have nowadays, and you know the gas line's a little different, and you put headers, but you could have got headers back then. Too,
absolutely.
Factory ordered, and he did a little bit better this and a little bit better that, you know. But the thing is, it's to his taste, and the car runs just phenomenal.
And that's it. The things we did, like the intake, and this is an Edelbrock CH4B, which is arguably the best street intake for these cars. Any old school person will tell you that. So those kind of things, and we have a Holley carburetor on it. Now, this is a 1970 air cleaner.
Oh, okay.
And a 69 would have been much smaller and have, I think, a single snorkel on it. But I just like the way it looks. So, again, I did it to taste. It gets more air.
Yeah. And you didn't put a full flow one on there. You put the original one with, with the flags and all that on
right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Beautiful. And you were talking about that system bolts.
Oh,
here,
yeah.
Down.
Yeah, you can see the holes here. And it literally goes over here and it encloses this with an opening here, and there's a special air cleaner.
Big donut around there like a rubber.
So the air comes in here. There's plastic covering all this, and it funnels it right into the carburetor. Yeah. Awesome. And I'm thinking about putting that on, Steve. I'm not sure yet.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. The problem is it's like $1,500.
Oh, come on, Chip. Here, you need some money here. Now
I do need money.
Yeah. Would this stay here, but just take the top off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's correct.
You'd still use this, and you know.
Oh no! There's I'm sorry if I did that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a special air cleaner that you'd have to.
You know,
for that.
Anybody has a muscle car would say that's like breathing out a straw.
Yeah.
You know, you need something to breathe out a sewer pipe.
Well, yeah, most of us, and you guys remember, went with the aftermarket air cleaner that was completely open. And but again, you guys can see, I like the '70s look. You know, this is how it would have been when I was in high school in the '70s. So.
Beautiful car.
Well, Steve, we're out of time, but we're going to take this for a drive.
Yeah,
so, hey, we'll see you in a drive in a minute. All right, here we go, Steve. We're going to take everybody for a ride today.
Nice. Listen to that.
Yeah, listen, big block Mopar, baby.
I could ride it all day. I give you $5 for gas if we take for a long ride. That won't work.
$5 gets you to the end of the street.
Yeah. Back in '69, it was a half a tank of gas.
Oh yeah. You
know,
but you guys can see all the gauges. I'm a real gauge watcher. My grandpa taught me when I first started to drive to be a gauge watcher. And you know that it really makes a big difference, Steve. You know that. I've seen people, drive their car with no oil pressure, overheating right at 260 degrees or whatever. And, really watching that, those gauges can really help you make your car survive. Really,
I got Chip. I got a story.
Go for it.
All right. So a month ago, lady calls me up at school, a really good teacher, goes, "Oh my God, my car, it's overheating. What should I do? Steam coming out of the hood." I said, "Stop it. Put your heater on or stop it. Stop it." So she stopped it, and she got it over to the school. So next day I looked at it, and the radiator hose separated from the block.
Yeah.
And they're plastic and separate. It drained the whole system right then.
Wow.
So I told her, I says, I can fix it, but I can't guarantee it has overheated the block.
Yeah.
So we fixed it, put it together, and it was fine. She caught it just in time.
Yeah, wow.
So that's why you watch your gauges.
Right.
No pressure.
Yeah. Here's your sun visors. These dip down. You can block the sun when you're going.
Look at
Yep, this has a thing here that you turn on the back, and it goes from night to day. So at night, it tilts it down so you're not looking directly at the lights behind you.
Sure.
And it dims them, which is cool. So pretty cool. Glove compartment
Yeah,
over
right
there.
here. All
you can
padded.
see. All padded.
So if something happens, this is padded for your knee.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
It's not metal here, so you don't beat your knee up.
What do you think about getting on it a little bit?
I think we should get on. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, how it pulls.
She'll pull right along, won't she?
Hey, you ain't even anywhere in it.
No. Yeah, she's got more than that.
All right, let me try it around. I'll put it to the floor.
Go ahead.
We'd be listening to Deep Purple cruising all day in this thing.
Well, I actually, and I talked about the stereo system.
Marvelous Marvin, we're live on Hits
Marvelous Marvin on the radio.
Let's see.
Oh,
yeah, we got advertising on now. But yeah, we got the 2 6x9 triaxles in the back, right? You know? And I got a really good one up. There's a...
Hey, gotta have your arm up like this, hey. Sit back.
Yeah, cruising.
Great. Oh, this reminds me of the old days. I like how everything, look at all your gauges. Everything's perfect.
Yeah, it's nice and laid out, isn't it? Isn't it nice and just, I don't know, they did a really good job.
You know, if you can zoom in on this, we talked about detail. Look at his pedals. There's no rocks in there or nothing. They're clean. This is when you go look at a car. You can tell that separates the men from the boys.
Absolutely.
You know, this is how you can tell the car has been well detailed and taken care of.
Yep.
I look at that. I look at it.
Oh, absolutely. Here's something I wanted to talk about. See how I'm downshifting when I slow down? And I've always done that since I drove a 4-speed.
Yeah.
Good or bad on a car, in your opinion? You're a shop teacher. You know, one, I do it for braking.
Yeah.
You know, because you got the drum brakes, which, you know, they're not new brakes by any stretch. Well, it's all new, but it's old school technology. But I've always done it for slowing down. But what do you think about the wear and tear on the engine doing that?
No, doesn't hurt nothing.
Doesn't hurt it at all?
No, I mean, look at Jake brakes and big diesels and all that, how they slow down.
That's true.
You know, so, you know, no, it doesn't hurt nothing. And again, you didn't have the best brakes back then.
No.
So you needed everything to stop.
I mean, this thing has a lot more power than it does brakes.
Oh, yes.
Well, I think we're out of time, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Chip.
And I'm Steve.
And this is
Chip's
Chip's
Garage.
Garage.